All right, Google Core Update hit in December 11th, 2025. I'm going to cover what is going on with this. And also, since I haven't shot a video in 4 months, I'm going to show you exactly what's working with this update, with all the updates, and we'll cover that all in this video. So let's first start with the Google Core Update for 2025. I think this site right here, Sistrix.com, does a really good job kind of breaking down all the sites that are winners and losers and all of that, if you want to check out this article after the video. But it's all the same shit that happens every single update, all right? Every core update, and this one, by the way, I think is actually pretty small compared to most, but every core update is the same shit, okay? They're just adjusting little knobs, little dials in the algorithm, a little bit more adjusted for the authority, a little more adjusted for certain search intent stuff. Like, they're not changing that much stuff. The last 5 to 10 years in SEO has really been pretty stagnant. Okay, there hasn't been many major changes. I'll go over like one of the biggest changes that I've noticed over the last couple of years, but it's just always the same shit. All right, so there's not a ton to talk about here. Like, what was the winners? What was the losers? I saw some sites go up, saw some go down. Authority mainly seems to be the winner for this update. So it seems like the 2025 December update was more about giving more authority sites winners. I do think that, because I know TrustFlow, if you read this article, TrustFlow got a good amount of traffic increase, like maybe 17% or something like that. Let's see if we can actually find that really quick, because that's important to what I think is going on right now. Scroll down here. Where were they? There it is right here. Yeah, 18% they gained. Okay, so that's a big win there for Trustpilot. And one of the reasons what I think is going on here, this kind of goes, got to do a lot of reputation management, and this kind of goes along with that. I think with the AI overviews, a lot more people are Googling something, getting like basic information in the AI overview, reading it, and then going and looking for reviews once they find certain stuff, right? So, for example, if I'm looking like for the best plastic surgeon in Miami, right? And the AI overview shows, stuff about that, and they show, like these three doctors are named a whole bunch. They're going to go type in those doctor names plus reviews. Well, when they see reviews, they're clicking on them, right? And that's why Trustpilot is probably getting an increased amount of traffic, partly because these people are searching an AI overview, getting general information, then going and searching reviews, then seeing the Trustpilot and checking out the reviews itself on Trustpilot, right? So that's probably one of the reasons a site like Trustpilot may be getting more traffic. Now, with the niches I'm in, I didn't really notice much movement at all. I mean, again, there's some stuff where I noticed a little bit more authority taking over, where some companies that were ranking on page 1 for some big keywords dropped down to page 2, and then bigger companies took over on page 1, more authoritative sites. But outside of that, I didn't notice a ton of changes with this. One thing that I did notice was that, so since I do a lot of reputation management, a lot of BBB complaints pages were ranking for the people that I do reputation management for. Now, I'm going to give you a reputation management trick here. One of the things we do in that situation is that we start linking to the BBB profile instead of the complaints. Because when people have a BBB listing, there's a profile and then there's also a complaints page. They're two separate pages. Now, they're generally optimized for the same types of keywords, but what we do is we power up the business profile. And it just works like a normal website, right? If you ever had a client and they're ranking, maybe like their homepage ranks for a keyword that they have an inner page optimized for, and they're like, I don't want my homepage ranked for it, I want the inner page to rank for it. Well, I'm like, well, then we have to de-optimize the homepage for that keyword. We can't really have it anywhere, depending on where it currently is, because the authority of that page is outdoing the authority of your inner page. And since it's optimized a little bit for that, they're still saying it's better fit for showing because it has more authority, has more trust, has more credibility in the links that are built to it. So it seems like the same thing happened here, and when this core update rolled out, like all my complaints pages disappeared or at least moved down a decent bit for the clients we've been doing this for, because we've been linking more to the business profile, right? Now that has more authority than the complaints page, so now when they Google their name plus reviews, the profile shows up instead of the complaints. So we have some very happy customers. But it just falls in line with the whole authority thing, right? They're giving pages in this current update that have more authority, more love. And that's what happens with these core updates, it seems. One of the big things that happens is they adjust those knobs. Okay, well, this update is more about we like authority more, and we like Reddit pages more, and we like specific things more. Whereas next update, they may dial that back, and they may say, all right, let's turn back the authority dial a little bit. Let's give a little bit more to EMD style domains, and let's see what feedback we get from that. So it's all the same algorithm, right? Like, so what's working right now? Well, when you take a look at SEO, people make it way too complicated. Okay, if you imagine there is 1,000 sites out there, and they're all optimized on page the same way, the same exact way. What's it going to come down to? Links, authority, okay? And that's what they look at. So that's why the more competitive a term is, the harder it is to rank and the more authority you need, because if you have 100,000 websites that are all basically optimized the same way on page, well, how are they going to factor in what is going to rank the website? They're going to factor in who has the most authority. And that's why authority websites rank in a lot of the harder niches, because that's what it comes down to, okay? Now, of course, if you get an EMD in there that's got a pretty good amount of authority, that can start ranking in those big authority niches, but it still takes a lot of effort, right? If you're talking about like a niche that has 100,000 plus referring domains on the first page for a term, if you want to get an EMD on there, you're going to need at least a couple thousand referring domains still. Yes, EMDs are extremely powerful, and they grow in power as you build links to them. But even with a niche like that, you're going to need a lot of power. You don't need 100,000 like those big authority sites do, since you're so optimized at the keyword level, at the domain level. But you still are going to need at least 1,000, right? You're going to need at least 100 times less links than they do to start ranking on page one. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of affiliate sites on page one these days for big terms, because the big guys are taking over, right? There's more and more properties out there. Like, it's SEO is just more competitive now. So what's working is just looking at the basics and taking advantage of it. Now, your best chance of ranking is still going after long tail keywords, because with the big keywords, like if you take like a 2-word keyword that gets 100,000 searches per month, you're typically always going to see super high authority sites ranking on page one. What they do allow, and this changes from update to update, is usually the more long tail keywords, they do allow smaller sites on page one. So let's just go do an example. I'm going to do a random example. So let's do like best hair products, okay? So let's just do best hair products. And let's see what type of sites we have on page one. So look at this. Number one is Sephora, okay, which has 60,000 referring domains. Then you got this site, which is 4,200. That's actually pretty low. That's lower than I would expect. Then you got Reddit, right, which has about 1 million. Then you have bunch of popular product stuff. They get Amazon, YouTube, both have, that 2 million, 19 million, 20 million. Derm Store, which has 13,000. Allure, which has 41,000. These guys have 875, and these guys have 1,700, but they're at the bottom of page one, right? They're not going to get any clicks, really. So really, in general, most of these sites have tens of thousands of referring domains that are ranking on page one. Now, if we go a little more long tail, like best hair products for men, we're going to see something a little different here. So the number one guys, they have 63 referring domains. That's pretty low, right? They're allowing smaller sites for these longer tail keywords. If we scroll down here, what do these guys have? 157, okay? So the top guys have 63 and 157, totally different than that first search. So you have to be very aware of what Google is showing for specific keywords that you're searching for, right? You need to know what type of authority is on page one. And you may say, like, well, I thought this video was about the core update. It is. This is what this core update does. Because next core update, what you may see is this gets rolled back, where now when you go search longer tail keywords, they're not allowing the smaller sites there as much anymore. You may notice even bigger sites coming for that. That's when they dial up the authority even more, right? They just dial it back and they dial it forward. They adjust on page a little here and there and consider other certain things, but basically they're just turning little knot. Like the algorithm's all the same still. Just maybe they like a little more keyword anchor text now. Maybe they like a little more aggressive on page. Maybe they like a little more authority this time. Maybe they like more EMD style this time. Like they're adjusting. It's the same algorithm that's being adjusted back and forth. All right, it's been happening for a long time now. To keep it very simple, go to Google and type in your keywords you're trying to rank for and see who's ranking there and get that idea. The biggest change I've seen in the last couple years with SEO is the type of sites they allow to rank for certain keywords. So let me give you an example on this one. I've done this before on the channel, but I'll do it again just for those who have never seen it. So let's go do I'm in the gold IRA niche very heavily, and one of the terms that I track is buy gold online, okay? Now, when you used to search this term, it was all authority sites, like super high authority sites, which is not uncommon. But you would have a lot of sites about article sites, right? Where they would have like a top 10 list, top 5 list. Here's the best places to buy online. They have their affiliate links, all that. Now, this term is a lot different. They're considering the search intent now. So if we scroll down, what we're going to notice, this is totally different than what appeared here a couple years ago. JM Bullion, an actual online gold store where you can actually buy gold online. APMEX, you can actually buy gold online here. Silver Gold Bull, you can actually buy gold here. Same with bullion exchanges. Same with SD Bullion. Same with Bullion.com. Same with Goldcore. Same with BGASC. Same with US Gold Bureau. Same with USMint.gov. All these properties ranking on page 1 are actual stores where you can buy gold online, check out, and purchase it. They're not ranking articles anymore for this term, or at least you're not saying anything on the first page. So what does that tell you? If you are trying to rank an affiliate site, you're wasting your time trying to rank for buy gold online. You're just wasting your time because what you see on the first page is all stores. Unless you have a store, this term isn't worth going after, okay? You would want to go after maybe some longer tail versions of this. So I don't know what that would be. Maybe like, let's try best place to buy gold online. Let's see if that gives us different results. I don't know if it does or not. Nope. Store, 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 Reddit, store, money.com. All right, but they got a lot of authority. They got 40,000 referring domains. But we do have, like, here's one of those articles that would have appeared, a few years ago. This type of stuff filled out the first page. Now it's mostly gold stores. And then store, and then Yahoo Finance, okay, which is another kind of list type things. So even like the longer tail versions have mostly stores rankings. That tells you like buy gold online type keywords you're probably going to stay away from, because unless you have a lot of authority, and you have a way to utilize that, you're probably not going to rank on page 1 because they have mostly stores ranking. Even if you have super high authority, like the stores, even for this longer tail keyword, are at the bottom of the page or at the top of the page. Those listicles are more at the bottom, even with high authority, like a site like money.com and Yahoo Finance. So that's one of the biggest changes I've seen recently in SEO is them considering what type of property it is. So if you look at that from like a broader algorithm aspect, what we see is like, so imagine those 100,000 sites that are optimized all the same, right? If you have 100,000 sites all similarly optimized, basically the on page is like similar scores, they're going to go to the off page, right? And then whoever has the most authority is going to win out the battle for the first page. Well, with this in the mix, what they say is, okay, 100,000 sites all optimize the same on page, but little and if statement here in the code, if the site is not a store, it gets 10 less points, right? Where 10 points is a lot in the algorithm. I'm just kind of making something up here. If it's a store, they get plus 20 points. So what that says is, okay, 100,000 sites, but only 500 of them are stores. Those all get plus 20 points. All the rest get minus 10 points. These guys are already way ahead. Then basically it comes down to who out of those 500 stores has the most authority. Oh, it's these 10, they're on the first page, right? And that's kind of like a simple breakdown of how this additional factor would work in an algorithm. Of course, it's probably more complicated at the code level, but as a basic overview, that's kind of just the added thing that they would add in for something like this term, okay? But the whole point is, like, these core updates, people ask me, like, they reach out and they say, do you know what's going on with this core update? And like, I feel like when I make a video, I'm just kind of saying the same thing. So it's I never really want to do the videos because I feel like I'm just repeating myself, and people are like, oh, he said the same thing last time. But it's true. Like if you follow the algorithm, you just have to get your basic on page right. Like, know how to do basic on page optimization, understand keyword and domain. All that is super powerful as you build more links, right? If you're building authority to it, it's just going to grow in power. And then understanding that backlinks are what's going to push the needle in the end, the authority, because the more people that are getting their own page right, if you have a pool of 1,000 people all getting their own page right, where, yeah, you may do some little things better than some of those other 1,000 people that may move you up a little bit, but when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to the links. Like if you all 1,000 are basically optimized the same way, it comes down to, okay, we got 1,000 people all optimized the same way. How do we pick which one of these 1,000 guys is going to be on the first page? Well, links, right? It comes down to the links. And some people say, well, what about click-through rate and all that? Yeah, I think it does help, but how are you going to get a better click-through rate without being on page 1? No one's clicking your site on page 10, right? So how is that a determining factor between getting 1,000 sites and figuring out which should be on the first page? That doesn't really work until you're on page 1 and figuring out, okay, well, this guy's at number 8. He's getting a really high click-through rate. Let's move him up. Yeah, in that case, I can see it having a pretty big impact. But before that, as far as determining who's on the first page, you can't really use that, right? So, yeah, things like that do matter down the road, but when it comes down to it, what ranks you on page 1 is basic on-page and authority. And, of course, authority comes down to relevance these days and authority, right? Relevance and the power of the link as well. But that's all more advanced stuff that I talk about in other videos. So again, I know this video is more like a what's working with SEO, but it has a lot to do with the core update, because these are what these core updates about. They're little adjustments in the nozzle, then everyone makes a huge deal out of it. Well, all these sites went down. This happens every core update. That's what they do. Google has full control. They can bounce whoever they want. You got sites that do everything right, all white hat, and they get slammed by a core update. All sites spammier, like doing well with the core update. Then the next time it's the other way around. People are like, oh, spam sites are just getting killed. No, they're not. They're getting killed this update somehow. Maybe they figure something out with this update. But then next update, spammy AI sites are outdoing the real sites that worked really hard. So it's just like a back and forth with these things, and people just, I think, look too deep into it, okay? Now, as far as the videos, like this is my first one in 4 months. The reason is I've been extremely busy, right? I do really well with making money with SEO, right? Like I'm one of the guys that makes money doing SEO. Like there's a lot of people that teach SEO that kind of just make money teaching it. I make 90% of my money actually doing SEO. So these videos don't really bring me money. I enjoy them, but I'm so busy right now with my affiliate stuff and agency stuff, and I'm trying to build that through the roof. Then I've gotten to trading, where I'm doing a lot of trading in crypto and stocks and all that, and learning, decoding that algorithm. So I've just been so busy. So I miss doing the videos, but my time's just been so crunched because I'm out there kind of implementing the stuff that I show in these videos with SEO, and of course, the other side with trading and all that. But I'm going to try to do more, I promise. I'm going to do my best to get more videos out to you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, engagement always helps, right? When I see more views on my videos, it always helps, because then I know that people are actually watching them and enjoying them, and that pushes me to do the videos just to help people. But if my videos are getting like a couple hundred views, sometimes like, what's the point? Like, I'm so busy, only a couple hundred people are watching the video. Like I feel like it's not helping people enough for me to put in the effort for it. So if you guys are enjoying them, make sure you guys are commenting and engaging, and the more I get, the more that I'm likely to keep shooting, because I know that it actually helps people, and that's one of the reasons it really helps me keep doing these videos. All right. So hopefully this was helpful for you, for the Google December core update and what's working with SEO. If you have any questions, again, throw them below, and I'll talk to you guys soon.